Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to this week's Elliott Wave Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you all had a wonderful week. It is September. The market is trending again. I said in August that August is usually a slow trading month, and we've seen that we have been in a bit of a pullback or corrective structure during the month of August. So the market is back on a trend again, and the structures are very clear again. We had a number of setups in the week in our group, so I'll show you what we have been up to in our group as well. Show you some of the trades and some of those that we have discussed here in this webinars as well. All right, so before we get started, if you're only interested in specific pair and you don't have to watch, you don't want to watch the whole video, when you go to any of the videos, you go under the description of the videos, you'll find that all the pairs that we're going to discuss here this afternoon are time stamped. So which means you can quickly get to the pairs that you're only interested in. You can just go straight there. So you don't have to go through the whole thing. You will also find my contact details on the description of the videos. That is my email address, my mobile number, which you can use via Telegram or WhatsApp. My Telegram channel is also there, as well as my Trading View link. All right, so you'll also see the date for the next course there. It is tomorrow. Tomorrow we start with our course. It is a 2-week course that's starting tomorrow. You still have an opportunity to sign up because in October we do not have a course. We're going to have the last course of the year in November. So this is the last opportunity before November to join our course. Right, so it will be from the 9th to the 19th of September. So the course is available on video. So the moment you sign up, you get a full recording of the previous course. So that means you can get started at any time. So for those that are interested in joining the November course, you can also just join at any time and get the recording, and you will still attend the live session when the actual date comes. That's how it works. So I'm going to go through the trade recaps. Just show what we've been up to in our group during the week. So as I've said last week, there is a difference between trading and forecasting. So forecasting is easy. Forecasting is what I mostly do in these videos. That is why you see that the accuracy of this is about 95%. 95% of the pairs that we forecast here, they come up accurate, and they play that exactly as we analyze. Now, the challenging part, which is the part which most people have a problem with, is that the actual trading. When you actually take the trade, you will find that most of the time you know the direction of the market, but you can't really make money out of it. It's either you go in overexposed, you close the trade, and it goes the direction that you were looking for, or you exit too early. So that is usually the problem. All right, so we have got a specific strategy, and we don't just use the Elliott wave theory. We have a strategy that we use to take the trades over and above the wave theory, and we have got a very accurate indicator that tells us when a trade is confirmed. Now, let's have a look at some of the trades that we were looking at. I'm going to start with US dollar JPY. Now let's start with US dollar JPY. Is a new one. If you remember, there was a trade that we took right here at the blue box and dropped about 300 pips very quickly. Now last week we saw this amazing trade that was that was ticking all the boxes as far as the strategy is confirmed. You can see here we had a pullback and we were looking for this to break out. And it's not just about the breakout. You have to understand where the sequence is and the cycle is. If the sequence to the downside has ended and the cycle to the downside has ended, and you're starting to look for the upside move, you need to get a clear confirmation that this has reversed, because for all you know, this could have continued to the downside. Most of the time, you'll find that you just want to pick the bottoms without confirmation. You need that confirmation. So this was an amazing trade. It has not played out fully yet. It is still going, and we expect it to go all the way. So it is still 100 pips up. This is US dollar JPY on the 240, and if you go on to the update of where we are right now on this pair, you'll find that we have gone about 100 pips already. So this is what I posted last week, and this is where we are now. It was already pushed up higher. This we actually discussed live in our daily webinars. We've got daily webinars Mondays to Thursday, where we discuss trades in detail, and I also post this while we're doing the daily webinars. Right, so you can see that we've pushed up higher 100 pips. Now we're pulling back correctively. That is showing you that this is still going to continue to the upside. So those that are in the trade can then move to their stop to break even when this pushes, when this continues to the upside. So this was an amazing one. So there is no way you can now lose this trade. You can either take it off for break even, or you can make the 400 pips that we actually expect on this pair. So we're still looking for more upside on this one. This was USDJPY. Now looking at the next one, please hold on a second. Right, so the next one that we looked at also in the week, that was when was this? Let's just have a look here on the date. When was this posted? It was this is actually an old one. Let's just have a look here on the date. That was the 3rd of September, so that was last week, Tuesday. Right, so this is Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand, we've been looking for downside for a while, and this has pinpointed the entry here. We've got a pinpointed entry here according to our strategy and the indicator that we use, as well as the forecasting tool that we use, which is the Elliott Wave theory. So we had this beautiful trade here, and you can see that this one has already played out amazingly well. This is how it played out in the week. So let's just get an update there. I've put in an update on this one because it has reached target fully. It is actually a modest target. So we've reached this tier. We can exceed the trade. We're going to be looking for continuation to the downside. You can see that this is has played out amazingly well from there at 74 up to 71. So about 200 pips drop on this one, but we're looking I'm looking for further downside. There's a reason why I'm looking for further downside, which you will see when we do trade setups. Okay, so let me run through some of the trades that we looked at in the week. Now, if you look at pound AUD, I showed here after this 3-wave pullback that we needed to get a corrective structure here. We have now got the corrective structure. It is starting to push lower. So this one has not played out yet. It is about to. So you can go and check this one out. Let me see if I've got an update on this one. There is the update. You've got now the corrective structure. So if you saw that, it was this, and then we wanted to get the corrective structure. Your corrective structure, it is now this 3-wave pullback. You're now looking to push this lower. Okay, so any correction here, now I'm giving you a setup here. This is what we've got in our room. This is a, you don't usually get this one. So this is a setup that I'm giving you guys. If you get a corrective structure here, you'll be looking to drop this. It's also a modest target because you're looking for a bigger move to the downside, which you will see when we do start with the market analysis. Let's look at the rest. Now, if you look at this one actually went sideways for quite a while. It went back in here. It has made a very interesting structure now, which I'll show you during the market analysis. We are now looking for this to start correcting here and push to the downside. There's a very nice trade happening here, and you'll see how that is playing out. Right now, it is not all about positive trades. Sometimes you lose them, and I put this one. I think about an hour after I put it up, this was silver. I wanted to get a bit of a push up higher. We know that we're looking for pullbacks on silver and gold, but we wanted to take advantage of the last piece to the upside. So when this played out, we had this one here doing this. But as far as our strategy is concerned, there was one piece of the puzzle missing, so it did not confirm. It did not confirm, my apologies. It did not confirm, so which meant that we could not take this trade. And as you've seen what happened with silver and gold, they've done this. So if you don't have something that confirms for you, if you don't have a specific strategy, it must be like a formula that avoids or prevents you from having to make a decision when you trade. Okay, so you do get some and actually more strong. So it's about how you manage this. Okay, so that is how this is playing out. USDJPY we already looked at. Euro New Zealand, that's how that was played out. Pound AUD, we've seen the correction there, I've shown. This was Euro New Zealand before this played out. You can see Euro New Zealand, we didn't only just try to sell it there. We wanted to sell it from the blue box here first, but then it pushed up a little bit higher. But we still knew that this had to come down. This had to come down. That's why we got now the trade, almost a couple of 100 pips to the downside, about 100, 200 pips to the downside from there. Okay. EURAUD. Now, EURAUD, you will see what happened with EURAUD. This is where now forecasting and trading comes in. Now, this is 1, 2, 3. I'm expecting a correction and then a push to the downside. What do? They give you a short squeeze here. They do this, and now this has now reached this target. Did I trade this? No, I did not trade this, but it did not confirm what I was looking for. So, which means I just watch it go. So, which is okay. I'm not losing anything. Okay, it has done what I wanted it to do, but it pushed up quite higher with an impulse. So, I don't take that. Right? That is EURAUD, GBPCHF. Now, these are all the setups that you find in our group that we discussed during our daily webinars. Now, this one here, if you remember last week, this one was already doing this. It was already starting to do something like this, right? So what has happened now is that it has made a corrective structure, and it looks like it's going to do this before we drop. Okay, so you can go watch that and see how this one is played out. It has made a deeper corrective structure, a bigger structure that corrects all this move here, and it is now here. We are here. So let's see if we're going to get one push higher and then lower. Okay, so that is pound CHF. Now another one, pound AUD, same as euro AUD. What has happened here is that this one has made a move like this, and then we're starting to drop with this one here. So you'll see this with during market analysis, what we expect of that pair. Oil, if you look at oil on the daily, it's starting to give us this corrective structure that we expected. Now we're going to be looking for this to push higher. Go watch it on the daily. We'll look at it also today. All right, pound US dollar. This was the new trade last week. What happened with this one is that instead of this reversing from the blue box, it has now gone and done this, made a deeper corrective structure like that. Okay, so it has not gone anywhere. It has just gone sideways, but it kept reversing twice from the blue box. From here, went and did this, and from the blue box again, and now we'll be looking for it has made a very interesting structure, which we'll look at now. All right, so that is pound US dollar. Pound yen also did this, pushed up higher. Now we have got this move to the downside, but it did not go all the way. Same as pound US dollar. It went up here and made a very strong impulsive move to the upside in the week. Now there are two alternatives. There are two ways that this can play out, which we'll look at during market analysis. This is just trade recap. Pound US dollar has also done the same thing. It has pushed up higher into the blue box. Now pushed down here, did not quite get to the level where we wanted, and it has now made this impulsive move. So we're going to update this. All right, so maybe I can just look at 1 or 2. There's a specific reason why I wanted to go all the way up here. I wanted to look at the euro pound. Let's look at it from the beginning of August. You'll see euro pound. Let's look at euro pound pair. Oh, yes, another one. USDCAD. I'll show you USDCAD and how amazing this one has played out. If you watched the video last week and the 2 weeks before, you'll see that we forecasted 3 moves on this one. Okay, right? We're up here on. We came around this level on USDCAD, and then we've dropped 200 pips in the last week. Now let me show you what the forecast was on this one on USDCAD. You can also go and refer to the previous two weeks videos and see how amazing wave theory is. You don't just focus one move. Now if you look last week, what I expected before these moves that have happened, you can see that I've put up here a move to a corrective move, a push higher, and a move to the downside. Okay, now what did I want? I wanted this to go correct, and to push higher, to come break the top, which it did, and then now dropped here with this move. It has now broken the low. Are we going to get a move to the upside? If that happens, then we would have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves. Okay, we're looking at this as a bigger corrective structure. Now you have to look at this. If you don't have experience, you will not be able to see this kind of structure. So what I saw here was this impulse, and internally I saw another corrective structure which was doing this 1, 2. That's why when this was correcting here, I said this was going to go push higher and break the top here, and we're going to expect this to come back down, break the low. It has broken the low now, and we'll be expecting this to push higher now. We are here. Let's see if we're going to get this. What will this do? This will be a whole corrective structure. I'll show you the actual structure when we start with the analysis. This one was an amazing one. Played out amazingly well. So let's see if we're going to get this one. If we get this one, this is the trade that we're looking for as well. And I actually missed this. As much as I forecasted this, I actually missed this because I was trading something else. So I was actually on the pound pairs. But that's okay. Can't trade everything in the market. There's just so many options. All right, so that is US dollar CAD. Now, the one I wanted to show was euro pound. Let's see if I can find euro pound. Euro pound. Let's have a look here before we start. Yes, euro pound. Now, euro pound from the beginning of August already, we wanted it to push higher. So what happened here is that we got a pullback in 3 waves, which we expected, and it pushed up higher. I thought it was going to push here, break this top, and come down, but it actually broke the next top, which we explained that it is also possible. Now we are already down on this downtrend here. We are on this downtrend on Euro Pound. I actually did not post this one intentionally during the week, but there was a trade that we took here live in our daily room. This is how this one has played out, and the reason why I didn't post was because it had not confirmed. This is how it looks. You can look at it now. Euro Pound. Now Euro Pound, when I looked at this, when I was ready to take the trade, it was already down here, which meant if you're taking it down here, our stop loss was going to have to be here, and our target was going to be somewhere around here, which means this was a 50-50 stop loss and a 50 take profit. That means it's a 50-50 trade, which means that's gambling. So we don't take trades that are 50-50. So we waited for this to do this, so we can get our correct our stop loss here, and then now you've got a very good risk to reward ratio, and now you can actually take the trade. So we took this one live in the group. Everybody should have taken this if they were interested in, because it was ready, and it was ready to be taken while we were in the webinar, in our daily webinars. So now this one, you can see if your stop loss was there, your entry was there. Now you can see that you've got a very good risk to reward ratio, risk and reward, and this is important. You don't take trades that are 50-50 like that. So you want this that has got 50 to 100. That will make 1 to 2. You want a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 2 at least. Okay. So that's how the trades have played out. We just don't have enough time to go through everything. We had so many setups last week, and we've seen 2 weeks before, we didn't have as many setups because August we were busy with pullbacks, and we understood that you don't have to be in the trade every time. You wait for the market to trend, and then you start taking the trades. All right, so that's how that played out. Now let's start with our market analysis, and as usual, we're going to start with the cryptocurrencies. We're going to start with Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has got a very interesting structure now. That's oil, not Bitcoin. Very interesting structure. By interesting, I mean clear. Let's have a look. This is Bitcoin now on the daily. Now, I'm going to start again with the patterns that I've shown 3 weeks back that we saw on the euro. Now, let's do this again. We'll do it a bit quicker. Reason why I want to look at the euro is that the euro has got patterns that are exactly identical to the current pattern that is playing out on Bitcoin. Now, let's go to the weekly first. Now, if you go to the weekly on the euro, you'll see an interesting pattern here. It is not interesting until you see how prevalent it is in the rest of the chart. Okay, so you've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3. I've shown this a couple of times. So after that, you get a pullback. I'm gonna indicate the pullback with the red here. Now, after the pullback in red, you get this to drop and up, and then after that, you get this to continue with the move to the downside. That is pattern number 1. Right. Now we're gonna move away from that, and we're gonna go here, and we're gonna go here, because there are patterns again that are exactly identical to this. Only difference is that they are in a different time frame. They are in the 4 hour. You see this one is in the weekly, so let's go to those 2 areas and look for those 2 patterns. I'm going to go now to the 4 hour and look for those patterns. Let's go 4 hour. I'm not going to remove that annotation there. I'm going to leave it as it is. So this is that area. This is the second area on the euro. We've got exactly the exact same pattern again. It almost fits in there, right? It almost fits in there. It almost fits in there as if it is exactly the same place, but it's not. Okay, so we're gonna put it here. We're gonna put it just next to it. Now, what is that pattern again? You see that we've got 1, 2, 3. After that, you get a pullback in red. After that, you get a pullback in 2 waves, down, and a pullback. So this is down here, this is a pullback there. What happens after that? You get this yellow coming down here. That is how that one is played out. That's exactly the same pattern. Now I'm gonna move from there and look at another one. Here's another one. different place, same time frame, 1, 2, 3. Now this one, the pullback, you can see it's in 3 waves like that. After that, you get blue, 1, 2. After that, what happens? This moves like that. Okay, now we've got 3 patterns on one pair that are exactly identical. Now I'm going to take away the Euro chart. I'm going to bring the Bitcoin chart and see, and you'll see that we've got exact same pattern there. Now let's go back to Bitcoin. Now this is not wave theory yet. This is just repeating pattern that I've noticed. Now you'll see the connection between this pattern and the actual theory, the sequence and the cycle. Right, so let's go now, Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin, we're going to look at it on the daily, or rather the 4 hour is still clear. You'll see that it almost fits in there as if it is the same pair. So you see there, then we drop. It just hasn't completed yet, but let's put that pattern there. Now with Bitcoin, what do we have? We've got the same pattern, 1, 2, 3. We get a pullback in 3 waves. What happens now? We need, what do we need now? We need 1, 2, right? So where's that 1, 2? So there is a 1, there is a 2, and this 2 is happening in 3 waves. Now what do we expect with Bitcoin? We're expecting this. This has not happened as yet, but that's what we expect as far as the Elliott Wave theory is concerned. Now let me move all of this. Now if I move the charts away and you just see the patterns without even knowing where the chart came, you can see that this is exactly identical. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Bitcoin. All of these pair patterns exactly identical. Although this one has not played out yet, you'll see that we had a 1, 3 down, pull back in red, 1, 2, and then down. Same here, 1, 2, 3 down, pull back in red, 1, 2. What do you expect? We're expecting downside. Okay, now these are not Elliott's patterns. This is what I have noticed in the market right now. Now, what is the relationship between Elliott Wave and this as far as the Bitcoin chart is concerned? As far as the Bitcoin chart is concerned, let's do this here. So now we see that if this is Bitcoin, you can see that we've got 3 waves down, which we're going to label as W. We've got 3 waves up, which is X. Now, what is this one going to be? We can see that we're going to have another 3 waves down. 1, 2, 3. You've got 1, 2, 3. You've got 1, 2, 3. So you've got 3 down, 3 back, 3 down. What does this make? WXY. What are you looking for here? You're looking for a Y for a Y. Okay, so that's exact. That is the relationship now between this and the Elliott Wave theory. As much as we're expecting push down, pull back, and this to drop here, that is actually a corrective structure overall. It is a simple 3-wave structure that does this. Okay, now this is how we trade the Elliott Wave theory, and if you understand it simply, that means you understand it correctly. Okay, if it is still complicated for you, then you still need help. Okay, and if you need help, you need to join us. Okay, all right. So that is how this has played out. Now we're looking for the move to the downside. Okay, let's clear all of that, and then let's do the forecast. Okay, now if we're doing the forecast, we're looking for this one to drop here. We've got a pulsing move after this corrective structure. This one has tagged this top. Those who are in our group, they know that when this was dropping here, we said we wanted to break here and come down. Now it has done that. Let's see now if we are going to get this as a corrective structure, and then we start getting that. Okay, so this corrective structure can do this 1, 2, 3, and then we continue the move to the downside. So we will get that confirmation. That is the structure, and that is what we're looking for in the coming week. Okay, right. So now let's go on to Ethereum. Now, Ethereum, I'm not going to go into the detail. You'll see that here we've got a similar pattern as in Bitcoin, just on the lower time frame. I'm not going to go through the whole analysis, so we'll be expecting a pullback and a move to the downside on this one. Corrective structure and then push down. So that is a pattern that you'll be looking at there. It should follow Bitcoin as well. Litecoin should be similar as well. Before we do that, let me just go back to Bitcoin. Some may be interested in the whole structure. I didn't show you the whole structure, and we don't just, I don't just put on those annotations without labeling the charts. So these charts are actually labeled. Just go back to Bitcoin. So you may want to just take a snapshot and see how this one is going to play out. Let's just show there. Let's go 4 hour. Maybe it's going to be a lot clearer. and that is what you will be looking for. So excuse these so many lines here that are just cluttering the chart here. That is when I'm doing my analysis, so you can see that that is the structure that we're looking for. Let's remove that. You can take a snapshot and see how this plays out. If you want to learn, you may, but it's not easy to learn from my videos because I'm only doing the application. I'm not teaching you the theory. I'm only applying the theory here. So there's a process that we follow when we do this analysis, and that has to be the basic principles of the wave theory that you need to learn. All right, so that is if you don't really understand what we do. Okay, right. So that is a Bitcoin, and let's continue now with Litecoin. So Litecoin, same as Ethereum and Bitcoin. The last structure here is this one here. Maybe a bit of a push higher there before we come down, but it is corrective, and we're looking for continuation to the downside in the next trading sessions. It's not Ethereum, Ripple. Ripple, similar. But the difference with Ripple is that we've got a three-wave move up, you've got a three-wave move down, now you've got a three-wave pullback here. So if that is the case, you could get this one to come back down here and push up higher again before we come down. Let me show you the structure properly. You can come down here, push higher, and that will be your structure here. That will be your W, that will be your X, that will be your Y, and that will mean continuation to the downside again before any bounce to the upside. Okay, so that's what you're going to be looking for. So for now, short-term move is to come back down here. That is Ripple. All right, now let's look at the indices. The indices, what we expected, didn't play out as we expected last week. When this was playing out last week, we expected that we've got, okay, right. So first and foremost on the indices, we're expecting this current move to the upside to be a wave 5. Now, this wave 5 can only be a wave 5. It cannot be a 3-wave move. It has to be a 5-wave structure. So I expected that this is the first structure of the fifth wave. So that will be 1, that will be 2. Now, when this was coming down here, I thought this was going to make a 1, 2, 3, come down here, and then we continue with the diagonal to the upside, something like this. This is how my lines were last week. Make this diagonal here, because this looked like it had made a 1, 2, 3, and then we were dropping here. We were here last week, and I expected that we we're going to have a slight drop and a push higher, and we start making that diagonal. So we need to get those 5 waves within the diagonals. That will be 1, that will be 2, that will be 3, that will be 4, and that will be 5. Okay, that has not been invalidated. The only difference is that the actual structure that I'm looking for is not playing out as I'm expecting, but we're still expecting an ending diagonal because a wave 5 has to be 5 waves, right? So what is happening now is that we've got this pullback. You'll see the structure clearer on the NASDAQ, why it is like this. So we've got a pullback here, and this looks like an A. We've got a B here. It's not forced. You'll see when you look at the NASDAQ in the lower degree, how this one is going to play out. So that's going to be like a 3-wave structure. Right, so what we're expecting here will be this ending diagonal. Now let's have a look here. In the lower degree, just look at that structure specifically. So what am I expecting there? So this, if it's pushing higher, that means this was not a corrective structure, but rather a diagonal. And the diagonal is a motive wave. So if it is a motive wave, that means you've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3, you've got 4, you've got 5. Now, if you've got 5 diagonal, that means this was your pullback here. Pullback, and you make a move to the upside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can label as an A. This will be your B, and your C here. That will make this a 3-wave structure. Your wave A in 5 waves, 1 move, B corrective, and another move. So that means a 3-wave structure here, because that's what you want here for your structure to play out like. So now what we're going to expect here, we're going to expect that we're going to have a bit of a corrective structure here to the upside. Now, what is the overall structure going to be like? So let's go back again to the 4-hour to look at the whole structure and what we expect on this one. This is already your wave 1 of 5. I'm going to show it in yellow. 1, 2. So this can be, let's go with the red. 1, 2, and this 3 wave that I've shown could be a wave 3 like that. Then you get another pullback. Then you get something like this. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So we're expecting something like this. Okay, it's not going to be exactly like this, so we have to watch how this plays out. You can't really trade this because we're just focusing this. So it's very difficult to trade a diagonal because it is slow. It does this. It does this. You go up, you retrace. You go up, you retrace, and eventually making a diagonal. So unless you've got a clearer structure and a clear entry at a lower level, then you cannot really trade this. So we don't really have a buy setup according to our strategy or a sell setup for any thing on this pair. So we're just going to be watching until we get a corrective structure. So maybe if we get this pullback, we can buy the wave 5. For now, the wave 3 is already late because we're expecting it to do this first before we go up. Okay. Now that is how this one is going to play out. Now, how do you label the diagonal internally? So this is actually how you label the diagonal. And this is what we're expecting. So this is just a focused on this pair. So let's switch off everything here so this can be clearer. And your diagonal is going to look something like this. It's going to look something like this. That's what we're expecting. It is a motive wave. Now, if this is a diagonal only at wave 5, will we get the bigger corrective structure? For now, you're just going to look for continuation pattern to the upside up until the top boundary. Right. That is the S&P 500. The Dow is similar. Now the Dow is similar, but what you see on the Dow is that this made a 3-wave pullback already. We're also on wave 5 on the Dow. 1, my mouse is a bit skew. So you've got a pullback in 1, 2, and a 3. It's also a 3-wave move, but this one pulled back and was already starting a move to the upside. Okay, so this is what we didn't see last week. If we had seen this, we probably would have not expected that S&P 500 to go down because we could see that we've got a 3-wave move here and this one was pushing higher. Okay, so let's see how this one plays out now. So we've got a 1, 2, 3 up. So if that's 3 up, you need a 3-wave pullback and continuation to the upside, at least in the short term. Okay, higher degree, score daily, also expecting a diagonal here. We're also expecting a diagonal because this is wave 4. This wave 4. See where this is coming from? This is a wave 4, and we're looking for this to be a wave 5. It can only be wave 5 if it makes a diagonal or a clear 5-wave structure. Right now, it's pulling back, retracing, and now we're going to start expecting that this ends with a diagonal. Now, this already started with 1, 2. Now, this could be a 3 that I showed you on the S&P 500 like this, and then that will be 4 and a 5, and that will be complete. Then you'll expect a bigger pullback, and that will be your wave 5 in blue. Okay, so what are we expecting now? Bit of a move to the top of the boundary, pull back, and then it just keeps doing that. As it's doing that, you should be getting divergence on the RSI, and then you're going to be looking for the move to the downside. That is how the indices are playing out. That is the Dow and the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is similar. Let's have a look at the NASDAQ. Now, if you look at the NASDAQ, you can see we're also getting a diagonal there. It's also a wave 4. Same, 1, 2. Are we going to get this one as a 3-wave up? 1, 2, 3. That's what we're expecting. Then we'll expect a pullback, a move up in wave 5, and then a bigger pullback to correct everything. This is now your wave 4 and a 5. Okay, that's what we're expecting. Short moves to the upside on the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P 500. Right, let's look at the DAX. Now, the DAX is a little bit different because the structure here, if you also looked at the DAX last week and you saw this, we probably would have traded this one as an upside because this one had completed an expanding flat and the rest of the indices have followed this. Now, this one has played out inch perfect. Not from what we expected, but from what we now see. Obviously, we're looking at this one in hindsight because we expected a bit of a push down, a push lower on all the indices. Right. So in hindsight, we're now looking at this as a corrective structure, and now it's now pushed to the upside. So you're going to be looking for this one to pull back and correct and push and continue with the move to the upside. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction. You're going to be looking for move to the upside. So this is your A, this is your B. Textbook expanding flat that you can label as ABC. This is 3 waves, but you label it as ABC because it's a single correction. ABC. Now you're looking for this to continue to the upside. Can this push higher and make a simple ABC structure. Let's keep an eye. Let's look at let's see if we get a corrective structure here. If we get a corrective structure and a confirmed trade, you can keep it pushing higher like that and make that zigzag. Right, so that is the DAX, the Nikkei. Well, before we do the Nikkei, let's do the UK 100. UK 100, what looks also to have made an expanding flat, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-wave move up, corrective structure in A, B, and C. Expanding flat. Now we're already on the move to the upside. Let's see if we get a corrective structure here and push higher like that. This will be your A, this will be your B, this will be your C. Let's see how this goes. You want this as a short-term move. Correction in the 4-hour or the 1 hour to get an entry. That is the UK 100. And now we look at the Nikkei. Nikkei, you can see we've got a 3 up, 3 down, 3 back, and 3 down here, making this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. Pushing higher, are we going to get a correction and do this, which is going to be this structure here, and this will be a B here, and the C. Wait for this corrective structure if you're going to ride this trend to the upside. Just be careful when it reaches this high here. There's a possibility of making a different structure than what we're looking at here. Right, that is the Nikkei. Now, if you want trades in the lower degree, you must look in the 4-hour and look for the corrective structure, the current corrective structure in these areas. Here, you don't see anything. You just see candles going to the side. So you can go to the 1 hour as well and see a clear corrective structure, something like this, that you can actually trade and ride the trend to the upside. Right, that is the Nikkei. Nifty. Now, Nifty, I was looking at this structure, this bigger structure, as an expanding or a running flat. This one here, correction, and this one coming down here. So this, depending on where it reverses, if it reverses here, it's going to make a running flat. That will be something like this. That will be a structure that we'll look for like that. And it's going to push higher and go and make new highs. Okay, but if it's an expanding flat, it should push lower first before we go higher. But right now, it looks like we're getting confirmation for upside from current levels. We have a pulsing move here. We've got a 3-wave pullback. So that is a flag that has already been broken to the upside. So you can already start to look for a trade here and look for upside. Okay, so that upside, even if it's like this initially, you can look to take this trade as a short-term trade to the upside. You need to manage it when you get to this level. That is the Nifty. And that concludes all the indices. Do we do the UK 100? UK 100? Yes, we did. We looked at that expanding flat. I think we've covered all the indices. If I've missed any of the indices, please let me know. Now, let's go into the US dollar pairs, the major pairs. Euro US dollar. Now, let's have a look on the daily. We have been looking for these to reverse at the end of the ending diagonal for some time now. Looks like that is exactly what has happened in the week, but that is not confirmed as yet. It looked very good in the week, but it is no longer convincing. So what we said last week was that this was going to push lower than the boundary and push higher, correct, and we can get that bigger corrective structure. That is after we get this 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5, which is an ending diagonal, which is one wave like this, impulsive wave like that. Now, what we have been expecting since this move started was a bigger corrective structure, either sideways structure or a zigzag structure like this. Is that going to come now? We've got a very strong impulse in the week, but it looks like those gains are going to be reversed. But we need to watch because that's not confirmed as yet. So let's watch in the week. So if I go to the 4-hour, you will see that we already have an impulse here, where we expected to have one, right exactly where we expected it to. Now let's go to the 4-hour. Going to the 4-hour. Is this current move now a reversal or a pullback? So if this is a pullback, then we're still on track with our session that this is a wave 5 of the ending diagonal, and we're going to be looking for this to push higher and give us that corrective structure. Let's switch this off here. So we need to watch if this is going to be a corrective structure. Right now we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, not confirmed. If it confirms, it's going to push higher like that. Let's see let's watch and see how this one plays out. That is Euro US dollar. You can't take a new trade here. I'm only looking for a buy for now. If it starts coming down here, the whole structure is going to be invalidated and we're going to have to reevaluate. Pound US dollar. Now, pound US dollar, very interesting. So there are two ways that we're going to look at this pound pairs. So this was the trade. Took it here, the blue box, and took one here in the blue box. Pushed lower, but made three waves here. 1, 2, 3. Now we got this one to the downside, but we wanted it to come down a bit lower to this area. Now, is this now going to be an expanding flat? And we get a move to the downside? We don't know yet because this is a textbook expanding flat. It's a 3, 3, 5 structure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you've got a pulsing move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well. So this is a clear ABC structure. If that is the case, you're going to get this one to come back down and retest that low that we wanted it to. But we have to watch here. If this one becomes corrective, and that is how you're going to see, you're not going to miss either of the move. This one becomes corrective, that means this is the end of the cycle to the downside, and we're going to retest. We're going to get a bigger move, bigger corrective structure to the upside. What is that corrective structure in the daily or the higher time frame? Let's go to the weekly, you'll see it clearly. And that corrective structure will be correcting this whole move. We're correcting this whole move. Okay, so let's see. This is where we wanted it to take, which it has missed by a few pips. So this could be a 3-wave structure, ABC, regular or expanding flat. That should take us down here. Now let's watch. We just need to watch and see the two possibilities and how this one is going to play out. You'll see as we do the other pound pairs, the other pound pairs will be clearer and will show us the exact direction without the alternatives. So we're going to lean more into the direction of the rest of the pound pairs. Also make note that pound Audi and pound New Zealand are not going to follow the rest of the pound pairs. They got their own structure. Now that is the weekly. Let's go back to the daily. Okay, so let's watch this. Now when you look at this on the daily, this does not look like it's going to come down. Looks like it's going to make a correction and push higher. And when it starts pushing higher, that means you're going to have a bigger move to the upside. So we're going to need to get that confirmation. US dollar CAD, already showed you what we expected. We expected of this one. This was the first trade when we were still right at the bottom to the upside. This was not going quite clearly as we wanted it to. Let's switch off here. So we want US dollar CAD, we wanted the US dollar CAD to get those three moves, or rather 4 moves that we forecasted. So this was forecasted way before this played out. If you go watch US dollar CAD, you'll see how I did this. I said you're going to have a correction here, you're going to have a push higher, you're going to have a drop here, and you're going to have a push to the upside. Okay, watch that video, you will see. Let's see if I can find it quickly here. Let's just quickly go straight to US dollar CAD and look what the analysis was last week. So this is US dollar CAD, and this was the analysis last week. This US dollar CAD. Now US dollar CAD, you see that is the analysis from last week on the video. That's how it plays out. You see what we did there. Those are that is last week's, that was last week's structure and what we expected. You see that was way before it happened. You see that it has followed those arrows 1, 2, 3. Now we want this one to the upside. Okay, this one is an amazing trade. So if we get this one, we'll start pushing higher. We're gonna have a very nice trade to the upside. Okay, I'm not gonna play the rest of it. The rest is, you've seen how this one has played out eventually in the week. Okay, let's go off there. You can watch it on your own. Right, so let's see. This one can break slightly lower here and make an expanding flat because this one has broken the top here as we expected and then starts doing this. If it doesn't, then we reevaluate the whole structure. That is US dollar CAD. We'll leave it and let it play out. See if we're gonna get a move to the upside here. A pulsing move first. Right, US dollar CAD. US dollar CHF. Now, US dollar CHF, you just trade the opposite of what the euro is doing. Now, this is a pullback to the downside on the euro. Now, this US dollar, the US dollar CHF, you just trade the opposite of what the euro is doing. Okay, You just trade off what the opposite of what the euro is doing. The euro is correcting here for a move to the upside. So if we get the euro to do this here, to push higher, we'll expect that the euro US dollar chief is going to come down. It's going to come to the downside. Okay, so this is how this is going to play out. Hold on a second. Right, so as I was saying, this is how you trade US dollar chief, just the opposite of what the euro is doing. You'll expect a corrective structure and a pullback, corrective structure and a push higher. Right, that is US dollar chief. Look at the rest. Audi US dollar. Now, Audi US dollar, we looked at this as it was coming down, then we're going to have a push up higher. I expected it only to come up there and retest there and get a continuation to the downside. Now, the way this is playing out, if you remember the weekly, this may be a bigger move to the upside. And this is the reason why. If you look at the weekly, you've got a big candle here and you could be getting a structure like this on the weekly. What is this structure? If you can see that this degree is the yellow one, so it could be this structure that is played out here. Same, here you had a running flat, here you could have a regular flat. So there is a possibility of a bigger move to the upside, and I'm saying bigger because this is on the weekly, and if it's on the weekly from 6.8 to this level here, that's about 500 pips. Okay, so that could be a bigger move to the upside. Now, what are we going to wait for? We're going to wait for a corrective structure here on the Audi. So let's go back to the daily. We look at that structure. So now if you get a corrective structure here on the daily or the 4-hour, you will take this and expect this to break up higher like that. That's actually a 600 pip move, 700 pip move to come and retest this top here before we come down. Okay, so if that is going, it may go with the euro as it makes that corrective structure. Okay, so in the lower degree, you don't have a big enough correction as yet. Let's go auto and show this one here. So you don't have a bigger corrective structure as yet. So you want something like this or even bigger than that to take and ride this trend. Okay, the bigger the better because the move that you're expecting is bigger to the upside. Right, that is Audi US dollar. New Zealand is the same. You have got a big impulsive move on the weekly as well. So that means you'll be expecting a move to the upside. So this one could be coming to retest this top here, making this 1, 2, 3. So this could be a start of a bigger move to the downside. So this could be the start of a downtrend. Now, if you look on the daily, there's very strong divergence as well on the daily. So that's why we're convinced of a bigger move to the upside. That is your divergence there. It makes a lower low here. We make a new lower high. Sorry, a higher low, Right, so I never get it right when I say it. Okay, so this is what we're expecting. We've got a big candle here. Those who trade candle will tell you it's a bearish engulfing candle. It's not just about being a bearish engulfing candle. It's about it being an impulsive wave. For us, it's an impulsive wave. So we'll see if we get a corrective structure here. We'll be looking to trade here. It looks like a short move on this time frame, but it could be a bigger move because it is actually a bigger move because this on the weekly. Right. So wait for corrective structures to ride the trend. Okay, wait for corrective structures to ride the trend. Okay, that's what you want. US dollar ZAR. US dollar ZAR will expect this cycle to end around the current area 1, 2, 3, possibly a 4 and a 5 here. That will be a WXY XZ structure. So we'll expect this to push higher, and I'm expecting a push higher because I'm also expecting US dollar CAD to have ended its sequence to the downside. Okay, so there's correlation between US dollar CAD and the South African rand. So let's watch and see what happens with this corrective structure. Right, that is US dollar ZAR. Now let's go into the yen pairs, starting with pound yen. Pound yen is similar to the rest of the pound pairs. Let's take this off, clear it a bit. Now pound yen, this could be a 3-wave up, 3-wave down. and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. Now, as I've discussed in pound US dollar, two things are going to happen. If we get an impulsive move here and a corrective structure, we're going all the way down, and this will be an expanding flat. Let's switch off here. Now, if we start correcting at current levels, we know that this cycle to the downside has ended, and we're going to get a bigger move to the upside. That would have started with 1, 2, and then we're going for a third wave. Okay, so why would this be a 1 if it looks so corrective? It would be actually 1, 2, let's do it cleanly. That will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. That will be a leading diagonal. In a leading diagonal, you label it as 1 or A. And this will be a wave 2. And then you're going to be going for a 3. Now, which one is it going to be? And what do you need to do right now? Right now, you don't need to do anything at all. You exit this, wait for what's going to happen here. Wait for either an impulse or a correction. If it is a correction, you're going to push higher. That's going to be a big move to the upside. If it is an impulse, you're going to wait for a corrective structure. And you're going to trade it to the downside. That's how you trade this practically. Instead of just picking the bottom. You don't just decide and pick the bottom. You need to wait for that confirmation. That is US pound yen. Now, US dollar yen, we're still expecting upside. This is the trade of the week in our group. We took it right here. Took it right here when it closed there. Now it's making this pullback in 3 waves, expecting continuation to the upside. Now you need to watch USDJPY for the last 2 or 3 weeks on the weekly, what we did with the weekly on this pair. There's a reason why this is pushing exactly from here. We expected that this was going to come from here. We took a trade and we got this one to give us this 400 or 500 pips to the downside from the 109 area to 104 here. And then now we got the push to that. We've got a new trade again. So you can see we're making a lot of money with the same pair. Push lower, 400, 500 pips. Now we've got already 100 pips up and we're still expecting further upside. Right, so you wait for this corrective structure. Let's have a look at it. 4 hour. Now on the 4 hour, you've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3. Now from that, after that 3 wave, you've got a pulsing move. You're going to be waiting for this corrective structure on the 1 hour to ride the trend to the upside. So still looking for upside on USDJPY. Euro, you've got a pulsing move. Is this going to be a corrective structure? Let's see. We're going to have this to pull back here and push higher 1 up. Right, I could show you all the weeklies and the dailies, but we just don't have time for all of that. So that's why I'll show you the main pair, maybe pound yen and US dollar yen, what we expect, and then I'll just show you the lower time frame for the rest of the correlated pairs. CHF also pulling back in 3 waves after the impulse. 1, 2, 3. Is this going to be the move to the downside? Let's see. We already have an impulsive move. You get a corrective structure. This is going to retest the top here. And that will be making this corrective structure eventually. Right, that is CHFJPY. AUD. Now AUD, yen, New Zealand, yen, New Zealand, US dollar, AUD, US dollar are all doing exactly the same thing. Let's go to the daily. We've got these pulsing moves to the upside. Now this one, AUD yen, has broken the low of this one. This is the 12 months high. This is the yearly high, not the 12 months, the yearly high. So this was the low at the first trading of day of the year. We've reached that and now we're pushing higher again. So we reached this level, first day trading day of the year, and we've been on the up since, and then we came down with this one. Now we've got a 3-wave move. Is this all that we're going to get, or we're going to get a bigger move to the upside? Now, if it is a bigger move, we could even retest this top, and that would make a structure like this: 1, 2, and a 3. So let's see if that is what we're getting. If it is, then we're going to have a long impulsive move, not impulsive move, a long swing to the upside. So we'll keep buying this as we get corrective structure. So for now, we've got 3 waves up. We're going to have to wait for a pullback to ride the trend. New Zealand yen, similar. You can see it's exactly the same structure. Has broken this one way before AUD. Same thing happened with this one on the first trading day of the year. Now we're going to be looking for this one to keep pushing higher. pullbacks, you keep buying to the upside. CAD. Now CAD, yen, also looking upside. We've got a three-way move up here. Keep buying until we get out of this structure. Then we'll get this one to go and retest this top here. Okay, so for now, you keep looking for pullbacks and corrective structures there. That's all on the yen pairs. Now let's look at silver and gold, starting with gold. Now gold, we have been expecting an impulsive move to the downside. After it reached 1,500, I exited my trades. So we're looking for this one to give us a pullback. If you get a corrective structure, you're going to take this one down. So guys, it may not be an impulsive move like that. It can do this one, two, make a deeper pullback like that, makes 1, 2, 3. Then you get a three-way move here, and it does the same thing here. Then it does this here. So you could be getting a very deeper corrective structure, something like this, and it could keep going on like that. But that eventually will be a pullback. But we want it much deeper like that than that, and we don't just want it to go sideways, we want it to pull back. Okay, right, so if you look at the gold structure on the weekly, you'll see that we have completed a 5-wave move plus a correction. That is, follow the blue. If you follow the blue, you'll see that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, or rather WXY in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, WXY. Now we expect a deeper pullback. Okay, that's what we expect. That is gold, silver. We're also seeing reversal here. We've got an impulsive move. This candle here is not just a spike, it is a reverse. This is a capitulated move to the upside now. The fact that you've got this candle like this, candle traders will tell you the name of this candle. All I will tell you is that this is an impulsive move to the downside because it went up and it came back same time, so that move was impulsive. So we're expecting a pullback here. Let's go to the daily, lower time frame, 4 hour. So this now is a move down. You see we've got a candle up here in green. This is a move to the downside. So this will be a three-wave pullback. You wouldn't see it if you don't understand how waves move, because this is a clear three-wave structure. I actually wanted to trade this. This is the trade setup that I showed you initially when it was starting to play out. I wanted to get one more up before we come down. Okay, we've been waiting for a pullback, but instead it did this pullback one. And we're going to be looking for this one to continue the move to the downside. Even if it does this, it is still the same structure. That is silver and gold. Pound CHF. Now pound CHF, all the pound pairs, there's a possibility it just gives us this pullback in 3 waves, 1, 2, 3 here, and we push higher. Last week, we saw that this was not coming down impulsively. And if you look at this, you'll see that there's a very interesting structure here. There's a pulsing move, there's a pulsing move. And internally, this is what we like to call a complex B correction. See here, regular flat. If I switch everything off there, you'll see that we had a clear corrective structure ABC in yellow. A, B, C. And then we pushed higher. Now here we've got 1, 2, 3. We could have 1, 2, 3 as well. That's why I was expecting that corrective structure here. So don't be too quick to expect the pound pairs to push back, because this could pull back here and push higher. So this is more confirmation that we may get the pound pairs correcting and pushing higher. What will this be? This will be a 3 waves up, W, 3 waves back, X, and then we'll expect the Y to the upside. Right, so this is on the 1 hour, the pound CHF. Pound Audi, I said pound Audi and pound New Zealand, they've got different structures to the rest of the pound pairs. Now here you simply have a 3-wave move to the upside, and that way 3-wave move is breaking to the downside. Now what do you need to do here? I'm giving you a setup here. You're gonna wait for a corrective structure, and you're gonna trade it minimum to this level. Modest target can still go all the way down. So wait for an entry point there. pound New Zealand. You can see pound New Zealand has already played out that three-wave structure. That's one, that's two, that's three there. Now this has already started breaking down lower than that structure. Actually, this is a running flat here. So this makes one, this makes two, this makes three. Now we are breaking down in this fashion. Three waves down. You've got one, you got two, you got three. You get pullback in three waves. So even if you get this and you get a pullback same size as that, you'll get this one here. Only thing is that if that plays out like that, that means you're gonna have one more move to the upside. But for now, you just want to trade this back to this level. That is pound New Zealand, pound CAD. Also a three-wave move to the upside. One, two, three. Now we're breaking down. All you want on this pound pairs is corrective structure. And these corrective structures on the 1 hour, they don't take long. So watch for this. Could be breaking down during the London session. That's pound CAD. Now that's all the pound pairs except for the one that is quoted on euro pound. Now euro pound, we already in the trade. I showed you during trade setups that I saw this one as it was coming down, and we could not take the trade when I saw this one, it was already here. What did I see? I saw that we had already a corrective structure here. We have been looking for this one to push lower from the right at the top, but there hasn't been a nice clear setup, or rather we really have not been following this, because if we would have taken a trade there. But when I saw this during the daily analysis, I said, okay, I'm not going to take it here because that will require me to put a stop at the top there. So I don't want to have a 50-50 type of trade. So that's why I waited for it to correct here and took the trade with a stop loss here. Now I've got a very nice trade here. This one should push lower and my trade is going very well. That is euro pound, and that is how you trade practically. EUROCHF. Now EUROCHF, I said this one is very interesting now because it has formed a very interesting structure. These are the kind of structures that most people don't really see, because some people don't understand what a complex B correction is, and that works amazingly well. Now I am looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 expanding diagonal. Okay, and if that is an expanding diagonal, let me look at this one here. You've got a structure here internally. Put it in red. Let's put it in red. That is an impulse down, correction, and an impulsive move to the downside like that. Now here you've got a 5-wave move to the upside, which you're going to put as A. This red is a corrective structure, which we're going to give a B, and this is a pulsing move, which we're going to call a C. Now what is your B wave here? Your B wave is in this expanding flat. Very clear structure now. What do you expect? You're expecting this to come to the downside. We've been saying US dollar CHF still has a long way to the downside, and I'll show you how far it still has to go. Now you've got a pullback. You're going to be looking for this to come down. Let's not go in a straight line. So let's go to the daily, show you how far it still has to go. So US dollar CHF still needs to go down to the blue box at this level 0659. That's how far we want it. This has been nothing but corrective. So we'll wait for it to drop into the blue box. Right, that is EUROCHF, Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand. Similar, we've got a pulsing move here. If you remember, we wanted to sell it here for 1,000 pips. We wanted it to come down here for 1,000 pips and do this. Did not play out like that, so we thought this was a pulsing move down. We sold this one, gave us only 700 and retraced. So now this retracement gives us a different structure, because now we've got a running flat in the middle, complex correction. Move up and move up. That is why we're expecting euro to come down in this fashion and give us this structure. Now we're expecting another 1,500 to 2,000 pips to the downside when this one plays out. Right, now somebody can say, well, how can you expect the Euro New Zealand, EURAUD to come down while you're expecting Euro USD to push higher? That depends on the correlation coefficient. Okay, you calculate what we call the correlation coefficient. That tells you the correlation in the last, depending on the period that you're looking for, could be the correlation in the last 30 days, last 7 days, but the longer the better. Right, so that is Euro New Zealand. EURAUD just follows Euro New Zealand, has already pushed much lower. That is how it looks there. You already have this move to the downside. That's what you're expecting with EURAUD. You want this move to the downside. You've got 1, 2, 3 down here, 1, 2, 3 up here. Looks like we're going to get an expanding flat here. Yeah, let's do this here. We've got 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 back, 1, 2, 3 back, and we're going to be looking for 1, 2, 3 down, making this corrective structure. That's what we're expecting the move to the downside on EURAUD and Euro New Zealand. EURCHF we already looked at. EuroCAD. Now EuroCAD, I showed this last week. This is the corrective structure that you're looking for. And here you've got a 3-wave structure. Here you also have a 3-wave structure. Only difference is that this corrective structure makes a triangle here. A, B, C, D, E, textbook triangle. A, B, C, D, E, and this one simply makes a zigzag. Now, if you had to go lower time frame, you'll see that this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3. We just want it to complete back to this level. The sequence to the downside is still not complete, so you can keep taking this, but this is quite risky now because we're very close to the blue box where we can get that reversal. That is US dollar CAD. Now let's look at some of the cross pairs. AUDJPY. So now all the Audi pairs, we've got a pulsing move, so just expect pullbacks to ride the trend because they're going to have bigger moves to the upside. So all the Audi pairs, AUDJPY, Audi New Zealand, you've got a pulsing move. Expect all this to pull back and keep getting the move to the upside. All of them. So this is Audi New Zealand, Audi CAD, same. Except Audi CAD. Audi CAD is going to be slightly different because of the CAD. It looks like it's going to give us continuation pattern for 1 down here because you've got a regular flat here. Let's see. You had an expanding flat that dropped. Now you've got a regular flat. We're expecting the same drop. Did you look at CADJPY? Now CADJPY has got an impulsive move as well, so you're just going to be looking for this. Now this is on the daily, so which means on the 4-hour and the 1 hour, you should get a bigger corrective structure to push this higher. Right, New Zealand CAD, not a convincing impulse there. Not a convincing impulse, so this would be actually a corrective structure. Let's look at it in the 4-hour. Now in the 4-hour, we're going to be looking at this as a corrective structure. Look for it to drop. Get confirmation for that. New Zealand CHF. New Zealand, you've got a pulsing move. Is this going to be a 1, 2, 3, and we get a move to the downside? That will depend on what we get here. If we get a corrective structure, that is, we are looking for this to continue the move to the upside. A pulse and a correction, we are reversing. That will be confirmed by how this plays out. That's it, guys. Lastly, oil. Oil I showed during trade setups. On the 4-hour, okay, let's go daily and then 4-hour on oil. On the daily, you saw the trade setup was something like this. We've got a pulsing move here. We're expecting a corrective structure here. Let me just check it once again. This was a 3-wave pullback when I expected that we're going to have a trade here. Now after that, we're getting a pulsing move. Now I'm going to come down to the lower time frame to understand this corrective structure, because this is exactly what we expected, a correction and then push higher. Now let's go through to that correction on the 4-hour. 4-hour. Now on the 4-hour, this is what we're seeing. After the 3-wave pullback, this is the trade that we expected. We expected that we're going to get a pulse. We got the pulsing move. Let's draw it cleanly. We got the pulsing move now. So now this is making a 1, 2. This could be a 3 before we go. Let's see how this plays out. Maybe just break the top here, because what you started with here was an impulsive move, a correction, and now this one will need to push higher. Let's see how this is playing out here. Because after this impulse, the new impulse here, you've got 3 waves there. This is a pullback, so this could be another 3 waves here, making this a WXY structure. 3 waves down, W, 3 waves up, X, and 3 waves down, Y. That can then push it higher. But if it's so deep, it will not go all the way. It may just come back and retest here. Let's see how this one plays out. All right, so that's all I had for you this week, guys. If I missed any pair that we usually look at here, please let me know. Otherwise, please like and subscribe to the channel, so next time you get a notification when I post a video. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great week. Good luck trading. Cheers. Bye-bye.